Okay, so I wanted to talk about Blizzard, also treating yourself as a brand, and ultimately the things that we can learn from companies in general, businesses, and how it affects us and that way we do things. Okay, so first and foremost, Blizzard Entertainment. A few days ago, uh, Blitz Chung, who is a Hearthstone player in Asia, at the end of his interview with two esports casters, he expressed at the end of the interview of his support. He offered his support of the Hong Kong protests. Now, when that happened, in response, Blizzard took down the footage. They banned Blitz Chung for a year, and they also banned the sportscasters indefinitely. Now, since then, Blizzard China justified their actions, saying that Blitz Chung violated the rules of not saying anything that would offend someone. At the same time, therefore they justified taking away his prize money and the justifications for the 1 year ban. So after that, a few days later, which is much longer than NBA's response to a very similar incident, Jay Allen Brack, who is currently running Blizzard, offered a non-apology letter. Blitzchung even acknowledged that it was more of an arrangement, even though he was appreciative of the lowering of a year ban to 6 months ban and the returning of the prize money. He knew that it was an arrangement, it's not an apology. And the rest of the internet pretty much acknowledges that the apology, the letter was pretty much hollow. Now, there is a growing need or want to protest Blizzard. And so the upcoming BlizzCon in November, some people are staging a mass protest against Blizzard's non-action. Look, Blizzard really wants to keep that relationship with China. The problem with China is that typically they suppress dissenting voices because they're very nationalistic. And that is a very big problem to other countries, especially the US, which is very much freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Hong Kong had a very similar approach, which is this is like a major reason why as to why they're protesting. Now, let's look at yourself as a brand. Now, Blizzard is stuck in that strategic partnership with China, with Tencent in particular, because they really want to tap into that market to really get that income flow because they're a major corporation. Now, let's look at yourself as a brand. I know there's people that don't want to look at themselves as a brand, but hear me out. Whether it's work, whether you're doing things as a freelancer, or you're amongst friends or family, as John Kegel told me, anything you do is everything you do. So your vision statement, your mission statement, your principles, how you express yourself, that's all part of your brand, because a brand is not just like the visual stuff. It's not just the McDonald's Golden Arches. It's the experience that you have with the company. Marketing gets you to the door, but once you get through the door, that is the brand experience. And in user experience, which is, my job right now, that's a very important thing to understand and, capture. So the experience people have with you as a person is really what describes your brand integrity. And this is something we see in larger companies or in companies in general, whether you're doing a startup. I've noticed that there has been a statistic where people who are much older doing startups are oftentimes more successful than people who are younger doing startups, oftentimes because of life maturity, life experience. And so when we look at things that way, we look at larger companies and their ability to offer a really good experience, whether you're an employee or you're public facing. Those things matters to that brand integrity. So when Blizzard does something like what's happening right now, and they're very scared of offending China, it really shows where their brand integrity is. Similarly, with our circle of friends, for example, whether you're accepting toxic or like behavior or circumstances or principles that don't align with you as with who you want to be, then you're actually damaging your brand integrity because someone's out there is going to wonder, it's like, why do you have that type of friend? Or why are you letting that friend treat you that way? So when you look at yourself as your single brand company, if you treat yourself like a company, then you really start to wonder, what are my principles? What are my standards? What is the type of person I want to put out to the world? And so you can look at brand strategy, you can look at other companies, see how they do things, and then you're wondering, how am I expressing myself? Now, when you take those things into account, it really changes anything and everything you do. Then you start to, pick out the things that you like, things that you don't like. You start to. So I got cut off, but ultimately, what I'm trying to point out is that you have to look at companies, the way they're conducting themselves, their vision statement and mission statement, and see what your personal vision statement and mission statement is. Because when you hold yourself to some sort of standard, regardless of what your parents, family, friends say and do, you'll be more respected for that. And even if you aren't, it gives you a pathway that's all your own. Something that doesn't have to necessarily be a part of some higher power or religion or organization, but it also puts yourself into order. That you're not just a cog in a machine or someone that just enjoys things here and there, that you can fully appreciate and understand who you are, where you want to go. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys because, it's something that you can see in reflection to Blizzard and how they do things. And imagine Blizzard as a person and what they're selling out to do. Branding is not about selling out. It's about who you are and the experiences that people have with you. So for Hourglass, this is JB, and I will catch you all later.